Attention gamers. Everyone knows Ivern as the lanky anorexic tree who doesn't fight the jungle but befriends them, soothing them, giving them time, providing benefits and a 401k match, only to return and suck the soul out of them. #corporate America with Candy Crush voice lines.
My favorite color is spring.
But recently there's some challenger going full-blown Korean with his League of Legends innovation, proving that with the right runes and build, this happy-go-lucky friendly fern is an absolute menace as a solo laner because of one main thing. The runes revolve around press the attack, which seems odd, but it's the same concept as the Lux build that was taking over mid for a while, where the autos are underrated early, especially when they are beefed up from bushes, not to mention Wreck-It Ralph here procs PTA with his attacks as well. Your shield is low-key OP when it comes to early trades and wave clear, and rushing Malignance is the knees of the bees for a few reasons. First, the cooldown of Daisy the Destroyer of Worlds starts when you summon her, not when she dies. So having Malignance means if you manage her better than a young Bill Clinton manages his marital affairs, you can get close to 100% uptime on her. Secondly, all of her slaps spawn the puke puddle that just melts even the beefiest of top laners. The challenger plays at top with teleport, but I tried that and mid with ignite to give a full potential, because the surprisingly good lane phase is then followed up by insane team fighting abilities, which will have people who normally flame you for your picks thinking you are actually big brain and calling you Einstein instead. Einstein, however, is being borrowed to lead the troops in arguably the coolest game that has ever sponsored my channel, Heroes of History, a concept that combines the best game design from some of my favorite games growing up. Players unlock, power up, and build rosters consisting of some of the most famous people in history, including Leonardo da Vinci, Julius, the guy who Gerard Butler played in the movie 300. Here you can see a city I've been building up, as this fits into my childhood nostalgia. Age of Empires meets Clash of Clans type of satisfying progression. You harvest resources and scale different types of buildings to increase output. Others are used to recruit and train new battle forces. What I love is that you can actually take those troops that you've recruited and upgraded in your city and strategically deploy them in various battles in the campaign, as you can see here. It's a dank feeling building a city that ultimately supports beefing up a roster that kicks historic ass in the missions. There's dank events they host, like the moon landing Tesla storms, where you deploy your roster in a series of battles against Tesla, who is trying to alter the timeline as something fresh to fight through while it's full of hype. Overall, it's just a super hype event in a game that reminds me of so many games I loved growing up. It's on mobile and PC, and I'll be spamming it myself, so use my link to try it today. Drop your name in my comments and we can battle through history together. Alright, so game 1, I figured I would go mid and bring a match, as I was against Harry Houdini's side piece, and you could tell this chick took one look at my disproportionately oversized femur bones and figured I wouldn't be agile enough to keep up with her dashing. She kept thinking I gave a shit about her teleportation magic trick, while I'm just thinking better be careful doing any magic in front of Penn and Tower, who will flat out do all the work to make you disappear, as all I will have to do is light a fire to distract the audience and do something unnecessarily flashy and you'll be poof. This allows me to hit 6 safely, which is apparently when this gets absolutely stupid, because I just keep whipping chest passes at the bitch, and the first one she catches, you already know I'm summoning that fat chick from the whatever podcast to attend the event. My shield makes the trade dank, plus obese Megatron here knocks her up every third attack. She thinks she has escaped the deadly grasps of my type 2 diabetic teammate, but as she sits under tower I draft up a game plan. I figure I will let the tower lock onto the cripple minion in the wheelchair, and once he's distracted I will send Big Betty in. When I fuck up and take a tower shot I figure this is over, but Shaquille O'Neal over there does God's work in finishing her off. And you are probably thinking, shit, this is a great start, Rav's about to pop off, but that's where I'd like to remind you that I don't fake my content in custom lobbies like most League YouTubers, and instead I waste way too much time trying to make this shit work in real games where my jungler goes 1 in fucking 12 and my top dies 10 times, so unfortunately this becomes unplayable real fast and I had to try again. Game 2, I was excited to see that I would be laning against a windshitter, because I knew 9 of 10 of these players were a product of a sperm and an egg that came from siblings, and this meant I would get to benefit from the lack of brain cells as a result. Sure enough, by level 3 he's already trying to get in a joust off with someone way skinnier with way longer arms, and this I believe demonstrates the power of Ivern's shield in early trades, as this honestly wasn't even close as he continued to double down on his bad decision like he was raised to do. I hit 6 before him, and the only ward in his life is the one his dad/uncle has to stay in after the court rulings, which means he had no vision to see the itsy bitsy spider coming down the water spout. Then down came Daisy's fists, which knocked the dumbass out, at which point I decide to light a match and flash so I can give it to him before hitting him with the Stephen Curry walk-off. I win all the short trades, as every time he tries to walk up to me I just pass him a delayed basketball which stops him in his tracks, but the second he commits thinking he will just play around a tornado in the weather forecast, I make sure it's a 2v1 situation. This means I can get caught up in his storm and still have the safety of the buddy system. Eventually I have to run because of his stupid ass kit, but Daisy defies dumb game mechanics and knows to never leave a windshitter out in the wild. I did try to venture bot at one point in the game, only to be left extremely disappointed in my teammates' ability to get their heads out of their assholes and engage, but it's okay because I know what I would be coming home to. This dipshit who is treating every fight like he just watched an Humpty video and is trying some impossible combo, which long story short ends in Daisy chasing the windshitter down and for the 4th time basically playing the game for me. That said, I need remind you that instead of these being customs where I tell the enemy team not to forfeit so I can get extremely fed and pop off, this is a real game where the windshitter is bound to leave the game out of sheer embarrassment from losing to an Ivern mid, and thus I have to queue one final game to get my video. This one I got filled top, which I guess I was cool with considering whatever faker figured this whole shit out was taking him top lane, so maybe it would work out even better. I was against Rex from Toy Story, who I guess took one look at an Ivern top and said easiest proxy of my life. Unfortunately he didn't get the memo that he is not a singed and that he is also not the bouse, so he got busted, and the only thing that would save him is fucking Gromp apparently. More bad news for him, I'm as bronze as they come, so you best believe I will be chasing him down instead of getting back to my wave, and once I do throw a ball that he catches, it's lights out as British Bambi helps secure the kill. He decides to learn his lesson by going right back to the spot he got caught, but unfortunately I can't summon my diabetic Gnarls Barkley yet, and the British Bambi was apparently in Scotland, so even though I won the pissing match, he got away without giving me gold. Eventually he returns to lane, but he brings a friend, the chick that turned Caitlyn into a lesbian in Arcane, so I decide to make this a double date. I know it's bad etiquette to bring a fatty, but I could care less, someone is getting fucked at the end of all this. Then I guess add some bestiality to the mix, as Daisy is thoroughly enjoying me setting her up with Rex over there, but he fakes a family emergency and leaves, letting Miss Thick Mittens here to face the repercussions of her top laner being a fatophobic bigot who won't give Daisy a chance to get to know her for the sweet soul she is. I get back to lane and Toys R Us Cho'Gath wants some of the fucking smoke, so I call in Fat Aunt Betty again to do a little bop M socking as I just sit back and pull up BetMGM to place my money on Daisy. The NPC ends up being the superior top laner, but the second he dares show his face again I just send my pet straight after him. Putting the shield on him gives me a ranged burst opportunity as I flash in to try and be a big sexy fern, but the dragon gets away one bard's fart from death. That said, Pink Floyd tames a Godzilla crab and trains it to vandalize my lane, so I'm trying not to be a bowling pin and things are looking pretty shit until Shen crawls out of my asshole. All of a sudden it's a 3v2 and I'm just back here middle manager status making sure these dudes do all the work, and I get the credit as I turn into a full-blown enchanter throughout the rest of this fight, just throwing shields on people and growing rift pubes as my only contribution. It's now time for pointless mid-map teamfights over no objective, aka the reason I even queue up at this point. As you can see, our midget goth blow a bitch up before getting blown up herself, so by the time I get in there all that's left is an ADC for me to show just how bursty an AP Ivern can be with just 1.5 items and a fat NPC at its command. A large fight breaks out over who gets custody over this orphan turquoise drake as Lilia leads us off by tranquilizing a few of them. I decide to bring A+1 to the occasion, and it turns out eating an MF ult followed by a Vi ult is just tickle time for me when I have big shields that also blow up on people. Meanwhile Daisy is going full Dicko mode because in a 5v5 teamfight who is going to focus a pet? Unfortunately this means that when all is said and done our strongest melee DPS is still Rousey Ronda, who brings in the dank triple kill for your boy. Then, seeing as I have Malignance and CDR boots, I basically have 100% uptime on Daisy being by my side, so every team fight we have a numbers advantage, which at this point is starting to look like a Diddy party. Not speaking from personal experience, don't cancel me, I heard it from Ashton Kutcher or some shit, and everyone is getting fucked. Turns out Jinx's big sis escaped the red team genocide, but I passed these balls like a young Steve Nash in his prime, so you don't sleep on the chest pass into Daisy Dunk alley-oop combo against this pick. The team fights mid are now starting to get more one-sided than a Mobius strip, as everyone is strong enough to carry the fights, but the second I do get a little bit of alone time with a feisty Ginger, she gets absolutely clobbered by my bodyguard, and that is enough for the enemy team to call a quitter's quorum. So with that full transparency, these games are not in fake lobbies, and even fuller transparency if you think this is actually a strong strategy. Because of this video, I sat through 3 days of feeding my ass off just to act like I found some dank build. Now go do your part and first time it in ranked and let me know how it goes. Brush your teeth tonight, Rav out.